side. It'll be a good time. But listen, I don't want to take any more time. Please do me a favor and give a nice merge welcome to Jocelyn Olminski.
Hello? Oh, is it working? Can you hear me? I hope so. Okay, so fun. How are you guys doing tonight? Are you good? I am glad to hear that. Thanks for coming out to Merge and allowing it to be a part of your week. Like Todd said, my name is Jocelyn Olminski, and if I haven't gotten the chance to meet you, I would love to get to meet you. So a little bit about me, if you don't know who I am a senior at Copley High School, but like who goes to Copley? Where are my Copley people? There we go. Yeah, so I am a senior at Copley, but I am currently taking all of my classes through the University of Akron, which is really nice. Yeah, there we go. Because I haven't even been back in the high school building since last year to take a class. So weird, but it's really nice. So today, I am going to talk about something that God has really been pressing deeply into my heart and something that he's been teaching me. And so I talked to Todd about it, and I just felt like I really wanted to share that with you, and I just felt compelled to do that. So I'm going to share with you today something that has been really personally affecting me in my life and something that I've been learning. So today we will be talking about something that we all have in common and something that we all struggle with. Okay, let me ask you a question. When someone asks you, "How are you?" what do you normally say? Good? Do you always say good? Like, what else do you say? Tired. What else? Busy. What else? Yeah, okay. All these different things that we can feel when somebody asks us, especially me, when someone asks me how I'm doing, most commonly my response is, "Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I have a lot going on." And so even though I'm not actually tired, I'll say that. So I think that's really fascinating. And so whether or not we're busy or we're tired, we constantly are finding ourselves always doing something. And so we fill up our schedules up to the brim sometimes. Sometimes we're constantly running around all the time in circles. Whether that's, we need to make sure we finish our massive list of things we need to accomplish that day. Or maybe you're like, I have to keep reaching out to my family, my friends, and be intentional about those relationships. Or maybe you're like, I just need to pass this class. Like, I need to make sure I graduate. I need to make sure that I'm getting all my homework done. Some of you guys might be in a sport, and you guys have to make sure you're improving, and you guys have to make sure that you're doing well in that sport in order that the coach will keep picking you to play first. Some of you guys have a job. Some of you guys have to keep up with that. Make sure you guys get the hours in by the end of the week. Whatever it is, guys, I can assure us that we have a lot to manage, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed and defeated once we get a little bit behind. And so that's something that I personally struggle with. A lot of times I fill my schedule up so much that I feel like I'm just running around and running around and running around. Constantly I'm feeling overwhelmed. Constantly I'm feeling tired. And so we're going to be talking about this idea of rest and how we need that. We all feel weary and we all feel burdened. And so that is my first point if it comes up. Maybe not. I guess not. That is okay. I clicked. Okay, anyway, so we all feel weary and we all feel burdened. So what is that? Weary? Oh, there we go. It is up there if you guys can't see it. We all feel weary and we're all burdened. Okay, so what does that mean? Weary often feels like we're tired or exhausted, while burden feels like we're constantly being weighed down by something. And so maybe you're sitting in this room and you're wrestling with what you're going to do in the future. Maybe you're like, oh, is this job going to help me? Like, is this job what I want to do in the future? Do I want to study this? Is this what I want to go to college for? Or maybe, like, you're questioning who you are. Maybe you're sitting in this room and you're like, I don't know who I am, and I need to figure out my identity. Maybe that's what you're wrestling with. Maybe all you can think about right now that you're sitting in the chair is, what is it going to be like whenever I come home? Like, are my parents going to still be fighting? What is the next thing that they're going to ask me to do? Guys, you guys are sitting in those chairs, and you have a lot that you're thinking about and a lot that you're going through and processing. And whatever it is, big or small, I think we can all agree that we have or are feeling right now tired, exhausted, burned out, weighed down, overwhelmed, and drained. And so Jesus actually talks about this. He talks about being weary. He talks about being burdened, because he understands that we're all going to feel this way. So tonight I want to take a deeper look into what Jesus says about what should we do about that. So we're going to be jumping into the book of Matthew, chapter 11. And so if you guys have your phones, you can look it up on Google. You can go to YouVersion, or if you have a physical copy of the Bible, feel free to pull those out right now. If you don't own a Bible, I encourage you guys to take the ones in the chairs in front of you and take that home. It's yours. I think it's super important to have one, like a physical copy of the Bible in front of you. So if you guys want to follow along with me, I'm going to be in the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 11, 28 through 30. Okay, there we go. It's up there. All right, follow along with me as I read Matthew 11, 28 through 30. It says, come to me. So Jesus is the one who's talking right now. So Jesus is saying, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. All right, that is loaded with a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to break it up, because it's a lot, and you may not know exactly what it means. So Jesus is talking here. The first thing that he says is, come to me. Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened. We've already established that we've all felt weary and burdened at one point in our lives, whether that's now or whether that was a couple years ago. But Jesus is saying, all of us, to come to him. I think it's crucial to understand that it doesn't say, Jesus isn't saying, come to me, all of those who have their lives figured out. He's not saying, come to me, all of those who know exactly what they want to do with their future. He's not saying, come to me, all of those who know what their identity is, who know what their purpose is. He isn't saying, come to me, who have never doubted my goodness. He isn't saying, come to me, all of those who are perfect and have done nothing wrong. He doesn't say, come to me, all of those who just have this whole life thing figured out. No, he says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened. And I think that's super important to really understand, because Jesus wants us to come to him right where we're at, right as we are. Right? He wants us to come to him when it feels like we're barely holding on, when we're tired, when we're drained, when we're overwhelmed. Jesus wants us to come to him whenever we couldn't possibly fill our schedules with anything else, because if we do, we might fall apart. Jesus is saying, come to me, all of those who are weary and all of those who are burdened, come to me. We don't have to have it all together before we do that. And so Jesus knows like every single detail about our lives anyway. So nothing that we do or have done would be a surprise to Jesus. And so we, all of you guys, can have full confidence when we go up to God, because we know that there's nothing that we have ever done or ever will do that will make Jesus love us any less. right? We're able to come to Jesus, especially when we're feeling weary and when we're feeling burdened. And so if you read further, it talks about how Jesus will give us rest. Come to me, all of those who are weary and burdened, and I, Jesus, is going to give you rest. So what does Jesus mean when he says he's going to give us rest? And why is that something that he thinks we need? So I don't know about you guys, and I don't know if you know this, but we live in a world that's constantly busy and it always has an agenda. So we're moving so fast through life that we're constantly stressed out. We're always on edge. We can be quick to snap at our family, our friends, whatever. Like, you guys know how it can be whenever you guys are rushed and whenever you are busy. But that's the culture, that's the pace that we live in. And I know personally that all of my worst moments are whenever I'm in a hurry. So trust me, I have many examples of times that I was in a hurry and they didn't always end very well. And it looked like always rushing between one thing to the next. And so last year, I was constantly back and forth between work, between school, between babysitting, between hanging out with my family and friends, and all of that. Like, I was constantly back and forth between different things. And so that took up a huge chunk of my week, a huge chunk of my schedule. So right whenever I got home, my mom would ask me how I'm doing. She'd say, "Oh, how are you doing today?" Or, "How was your day?" And the first thing that I would say was, "Oh, I'm fine. My day, it was okay. I'm all right. Whatever. Let me go up to my room." So after she would ask that, I would give her just a plain answer: "I'm okay. I'm busy. I'm tired." So then I would go straight up to my room, shut my door, and then I wouldn't talk to anyone for the rest of the night because I was so busy and so exhausted. I was rushed. And so, get this. If my siblings were to enter into my room and try to have a conversation with me, I would not want to talk to them. I would be so frustrated, and I'd be like, what do you want? Why are you here? And then they did nothing wrong. But that's the way that I treated them. Oh, and then get this. If my sister were to come into my room and ask me to borrow clothes, it would be over. It would be over. I would be so, no nice girl anymore because I would be mad and I would be like, "Leave me alone right now." I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but personally, that is how it was. So not only does that kind of hurried mindset of how I go place to place and do things, not only did it affect whenever I came home, but it also affected my driving, right? I'm too busy. I'm in the car driving between work and babysitting, and I didn't have enough time to even sit down and eat. I'm grabbing a 4 for $4 from Wendy's, eating that in my car, driving to go babysit, and I'm speeding a little bit because I'm rushed. And I'm I just gotta eat, or else what's gonna happen if I don't eat, But that is how it is, right? My worst moments are when I am in a hurry, and it affects everything that I do. So, what does Jesus say? Why, what do we need? Why would Jesus say that he's gonna give us rest? Do we need more time? Do we not have enough time in our schedules to fill in everything that we wanna do? I personally think that this is fascinating. So think about this. Before Edison, okay, do you guys know who Edison is? Yeah, the guy who built the light bulb? That's who he is. So before Edison built the light bulb in 1879, it wasn't possible to stay up past sunset. So guess how many hours of sleep the average person slept? What do you guys think? 12, 14? What else? 13? 10? Okay, we're getting close. Not 9, not 13. 8. Okay, it's higher than 10. Okay, 11, you guys got it. Okay, there we go. Round of applause. Good job. Okay, guys, the average, this is so fascinating. Before the light bulb was built, the average person slept on like 11 hours a night. And now, at least in America, we are down to about 7 hours a night. And so that is about 2.5 hours less than a century ago. Like, how many hours of sleep do you guys get? Like 4? 5? 3 or 4? 5? That is not a lot. 6? 3. Okay. Yeah, like we don't sleep, right? Do we need more time? Because, guys, the amount that we sleep is like less and less and less, right? So even despite having coffee makers, even despite having a dishwasher, even despite having a toaster or an oven or a microwave or whatever kind of things that we have now, like instead of those things making it feel like we have more time, it actually makes us feel like we have less time. But weren't those things supposed to like make us do more things but faster? Right? It doesn't make sense. And so, like, have you guys ever heard of someone say, if only I had more time? Yeah. If only I had more time, then I would do this. Or if only I had more time, then maybe I would be able to actually rest and relax a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but I find myself saying that all the time. I find myself saying, oh, if only there were more hours in a day, I would actually be able to get some sleep. I would actually be able to relax. But I can almost guarantee you that if there was more hours in a day, we would fill those up and become even busier. Like that's personally, like I know I would do that. Like I'm the type of person who always has to be doing something. So even if we had more hours, I would always just keep being busy. Like I wouldn't actually get some rest. And so Jesus is saying that he's going to give us rest. Guys, catch this. Ready? If you're writing something down, write this down. Jesus offers us an option, and it's not more hours of sleep. I'm going to say it again. Jesus offers us an option, and it's not more hours of sleep. Right? So let's take a look back at those verses in Matthew. It says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. All right, wow, that's a lot. If you're anything like me, you know what would really stump me up if you're like me is this word yoke. So Jesus just said, he was like, take my yoke. Okay, so is Jesus saying that we're supposed to take up an egg? Right, because that's a yoke. Like, is Jesus saying, take my egg, right, and learn from me? Like, my yoke, his egg is easy and my burden is light? I don't think that's what it is. I mean, maybe. No, it's not. I think it would sound a little weird if Jesus was saying, take my egg. No, that's not what he meant. But in my mind, that's what I think about. And so why would Jesus be referring to himself as a yoke? Right? Why would Jesus be referring to himself as a yoke? And so I'm going to help illustrate this for you guys. And we're going to talk about what a yoke is and what Jesus meant when he said that. So a yoke is a tool for work, right? They're heavy. It's a heavy wooden crossbar to connect two oxen for more efficient plowing. And so this yoke would help shoulder a load for the ox to carry so that they would be able to do things more effectively and more efficiently. So I don't know if Jesus is like, what does it mean when Jesus says he's a yoke? So here's another picture for you guys. Like, this is a yoke between two ox. So back in the time, like, this was super, like, normal. If Jesus said this, people would clearly understand what he meant. But a yoke helps more of, like, for the ox to actually get things done and do it faster and do it efficiently. So Jesus, in the verses, Matthew 11, 28 through 30, he says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, right? Jesus invites us to take up his yoke. What is his yoke? His yoke is a new way to carry life and to bear the weight of the world with ease, right? His yoke, I will go back to the slide, but his yoke allows us to go through life by his side, right? And allows him, and he shows us how to shoulder everything that we are trying to carry. He helps us carry it. He helps us carry the weight that we feel so, like, dragged down by, right? Jesus' yoke is allowing us to step out of a burnt-out world and a burnt-out society, and it allows us to have and find the type of rest that we desperately need, the type of rest that Jesus is giving us, right? It's not more hours of sleep. It's a way to carry life. And so Jesus says, take my yoke upon you, learn from me. Like I said, Jesus, catch this, right? Jesus doesn't offer us an escape from everything that we're gonna feel. He doesn't say, oh, yeah, that's never, like, you're never gonna have any, like, issues. You're never gonna have to feel like you're weighed down. You're never gonna have to feel like all of that, right? He's not offering us an escape from it. He actually is offering us something much better, which is insane. Jesus is offering us equipment, right? And a yoke. That's the equipment that Jesus is offering. He realizes that this is the most restful gift that he could give to the weary and the burden. Picture this, right? Two oxen in a field tied shoulder to shoulder. With us, right? Think of this, picture it. It's us and Jesus, right? We're going, like, if we're taking up Jesus' yoke, we're walking with him. But Jesus is doing all of the heavy lifting. We don't have to feel the burden. We don't have to feel the weight because Jesus is doing all of the heavy lifting. And we get to walk at Jesus' pace, his slow, unhurried, unrushed, present to the moment pace is what we're allowed to walk when we walk with Jesus, right? We take up his yoke. We take up a way to carry life. So Jesus, he's giving us an invitation. He's giving us an invitation. And I want us to realize what that invitation is, right? The invitation that Jesus is offering to every single person is to come to him, right? Give up our burdens and anxieties to him and to take up his yoke. Life isn't always going to be sunshine and rainbows. Like, it's not always going to be this, like, amazing, like sunshine and rainbows, you know? It's not always going to be like that. And we aren't going to get any more time. The pressure of having to have life figured out and to know what you're doing is heavy, and it's a lot. And so we can't keep piling it all on our shoulders and expecting that we're going to be able to carry it forever. And we aren't, and we'll never be able to do that ourselves. And so we need another way. We need something, not something that will take every problem and anxiety away from us, but a way to carry life and to not feel defeated after it. I don't know where any of you guys are at with your relationship with Jesus. Maybe some of you guys are like, I accepted Jesus when I was younger, and I know him, and I kind of understand what he did for me, but I'm not actively pursuing that. Maybe some of you guys are sitting in this room, and you have felt the closest to God that you have ever felt. Maybe there's some of you guys in this room, and you guys feel the most disconnected to God that you've ever felt. Maybe you're like, I don't even know who he is. I don't even care about him. I don't even want a relationship with him. Guys, wherever you're at, like, this is for you. And so when you aren't following Jesus, it's easy to feel that weight on your shoulders, right? It's impossible not to. And trying to keep up with the pressure and expectations that the world sets and that other people kind of have on you is heavy, right? You feel the weight. But also, guys, even if you follow Jesus, are you still trying to carry that weight by yourself? We, by nature, are sinful human beings who fall short from the glory of God time and time again, right? There is nothing that we have done that should ever allow us to have a relationship with Jesus, because God is perfect, right? There's nothing that God has done that is wrong. There's nothing that he has done that is selfish, right? God's perfect, guys. We are imperfect. Every single day we mess up. Every single day we do things that separate us from having a relationship with God. Right? We don't deserve that, because perfection and imperfection cannot coexist together. They're complete opposites. But get this, because of because of God's great love for us, he sent his son Jesus down from heaven just to be with us. Jesus came so that he could be with us. He lived a perfect life, and nothing that he did was wrong, right? So he did this, like, he provided a way to restore that separation that we had with God. He provided a way so that we could actually have a direct relationship with God, so that nothing was going to be a barrier and nothing was going to stand in the way. The way that he did that was by sending his son Jesus, right? Jesus, he died on the cross, the worst punishment that he's ever been through, that anyone in the world will ever go through. He died on the cross, deserved it like he didn't. He didn't deserve one bit of it, and yet he died on the cross for us. Jesus wasn't murdered, but he willfully laid his life down. And Jesus could have at any moment stopped it from happening, because he's God, right? Like that, he could have stopped it. A few seconds, he could have stopped that from happening, but he didn't. He willfully laid down his life so that we could have a relationship with God, and so that we wouldn't have to feel weighed down all the time, so that we wouldn't have to feel the pressure of life. And so for me personally, all of us are sinful. All of us are imperfect. So if you don't know what sin is, it's anything that separates us from God. I should have been the one that went through that. Because of my sin, I was the one who nailed Jesus to the cross, right? But Jesus took away my burdens. He took away my anxieties. He took away all the areas where I fall short. He took away my imperfections. He took away my weaknesses. He took away my brokenness. He took it all when he died on the cross. So whatever I am going to do in the future, whatever I did in the past, the price has been paid the moment Jesus died on the cross. And so he covered the price. He died on the cross for us, for the weight and for all the times we fall short. And so, I don't know where you guys are at in your life. So think of this. Think of this book bag, okay? Think of this as your life. And think of it as like what you're trying to carry, okay? So I don't know where you're at in your life, but maybe you're like, I don't know who I am. And that is the thing that I question the most. That is the thing that I struggle with the most. You're throwing that on into what you feel and what you think about, and it's weighing you down throughout life. Maybe you're like, well, if only I knew what I was going to do in the future, right? I hope I pick the right thing. I hope I pick something that my parents will approve of. All right, I have this kind of weight like holding me down. I'm going to throw that in the bag. And that's how you can feel. That's what you have to carry. Maybe you're like sports. That's who I am. Sports is my identity. And if I keep up my sports, maybe I'll get a scholarship to college. Maybe I will become able to be a part of that friend group, right? The ones who think sports are like the most important thing. You have to keep up with sports in order to be a part of that friend group. Maybe it's grades. Maybe you're like, if I don't keep up my grades, I'm failing right now. And if I don't keep these up, then I don't know what I'm gonna do. My parents, they're gonna yell at me. I'm gonna be grounded. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to keep them up. You have that to deal with, right? Like the list goes on. Your relationships, your friendships with your family, that's going in the bag. All things that you struggle with, all things that you have to think about, your job, your like who you are, that's in the bag. Oh, my parents are fighting. My parents are going through something, and I'm in the middle of it. And I have to act like everything's fine when someone asks me how I am. All right, that's gonna go in the bag, right? All these things that we fill up our lives with. Like that's what these are, and we're putting it in our lives, and that is how we feel. So I'm just gonna keep throwing them in there. And so eventually, it's full. Eventually, it becomes so heavy that when we try to carry it, like we're being weighed down. We try to live life and think that we can carry it all by ourselves, but we can't because it's so heavy. We can't carry it at all by ourselves, guys. The reality is, when Jesus says to take up his yoke, we're allowing him to take this weight off of our shoulders. When Jesus died on the cross, he said, oh, like, daughter, son, I love you, and I'm gonna take this, all of this that you're struggling with, all of this that's weighing you down, all the burdens, all of the anxiety, he says, I'm gonna take that for you. And you're gonna be able to walk with ease, you're gonna be able to walk with joy, with love, with being able to not feel defeated all the time. Guys, that is what Jesus is. The reality when Jesus died on the cross was that he's carrying all of it for us, even if we haven't asked him ourselves to do it. And so whether your life feels like it's weighted down or not, whether or not you think that something's holding you back, you guys need to decide if you want to stop fighting. Are you going to allow Jesus to be in control of your life? Are you going to try and stop living life by yourself and coming up with your own ways to make it easier? We need to almost have a mindset shift and believe that Jesus, like a yoke, if we take up his yoke, he's walking beside us. He truly is. He wants us to take up his yoke. And in order for a yoke to work, let's go back to it, if I can. Maybe. Okay. Well, think of the picture. In order for a yoke to work, both of the ox need to be working together. We're walking side by side. One can't be pulling too far ahead, and one can't be holding the other one back. And so if that is the case, if one is like too far ahead and one is too far back, if that's the case, then not only is it going to harm the ox, but it also affects the work that they're trying to accomplish. So we need to open our eyes and realize that Jesus is leading us. Jesus is the one who's walking with us. And we need to we need to follow that. We need to follow him. And when we do that, we get the chance to walk smoothly and we get the chance to walk nicely. Because Jesus has already taken the weight. We just need to recognize it. You guys have got to stop fighting, right? Personally, I struggle with this because in my mind, I think that I can do this by myself, but I can't. Jesus is saying he can and he will, and he showed that to us when he died on the cross. And so when we take up his yoke, he allows us to live life with him. He allows us to bear the weight and the responsibilities of the world with ease. It's an invitation to come to him, to give him our burdens, to give him our anxieties, and to take his yoke, right? This is a great illustration, a great picture of how when we're walking with Jesus, he's gonna help carry things for us. He's gonna take the weight, he's doing all the heavy lifting. I'm just gonna walk with him. And I'm gonna keep giving that to him and keep asking him to take that from me, because he will and he does. So I really want you guys to think about this in your own lives. And so let's go back to the verse. Maybe, there we go. Matthew 11:28-30. Come to me, right where you're at, in your sin, in your imperfections, in your brokenness, all you who are weary and burdened, and I, Jesus, will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light, right? Jesus is saying his yoke is easy. We can do that because it's easy. It's light. He's not giving us all the weight. He's taking it and allowing us to walk. So I'm going to invite the band back up and leave you guys with a couple of questions. So if you're writing things down or just have questions, I want you guys to kind of think about these and process these. So the first one is, do you feel overwhelmed and do you feel exhausted? Why and what is causing that? And also, is there a burden in your own life that you're trying to carry yourself? Is there a burden that's weighing you down and something that you're trying to carry but you can't ever carry it? What is that? The last question is, are you willing to give it up to Jesus? So if you didn't hear anything that I talked about tonight, can you guys remember this? Jesus is available to you and wants to take that weight off of your shoulders and allow you to walk through life with a straight back and a smile on your face, right? He doesn't want you to walk like this through life, like, oh, I'm just trying to get through life, right? He allows us to walk with a straight back and a smile on our face, not feeling dragged down constantly. So if you guys have more questions about this or wondering how does this look like and show up in your own lives, I would love to talk more about this. And I know that anyone on the band, or Todd, Zoe, Charles, Zahn, anyone would also love to talk to you guys. All right, thank you guys. I'm gonna pray and then the band is gonna lead us in some songs. All right. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for what you're doing and the ways that you have taken the weight, taken the pressure, the burdens, the anxieties, all of it off of our shoulders. Thank you for taking that up, for carrying it for us. Thank you for dying on the cross and allowing us to walk through life and not feel dragged down all the time. If there's anybody in this room who's questioning what it looks like to have a relationship with you, I pray that they would see that you want to be with them, that you want them to go through life with ease. You want them to not have to feel so defeated and overwhelmed and all the time. Thank you for the chance that we can come to you no matter where we're at, no matter what we're going through, but you want us right where we're at. I thank you for this opportunity, and if there's anyone in this room who has questions about this or maybe even wants to start following you, give them the courage, the boldness to ask and say something. Jesus, thank you for tonight. Thank you that we can find rest in who you are and what you've done for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
God of salvation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. See your heart and everything you did. Every burning star, signal fire. Creation sings your praises so loud. Would you guys stand as we sing this to him? If the stars were made to worship, so will I. If the mountains bow in reverence, so will I. If the oceans roar your grace, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. chased down my heart through all of my fear and pride. On the hill you created, as light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. But you lost your life, so I could find it. If you left the grave behind you, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. You gave your love, surrendered, so alive. I can see your heart in a million different ways. Every precious one, a child who died to save. You gave your life to love them so alive. Like you would again 100 billion times. But what measure could amount to your desire? You're the one who never leaves the one behind.
So what could I say? And what could I do? But offer this heart, oh God, completely to you. Would you sing that again? So what could I say? What could I do? But offer this heart, oh God, completely to you. Just sing so I'll stand. Sing it like you mean it. Come on. So I stand with arms high and heart abandoned, in awe of the one who gave it all. And I stand, come on, my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. Your turn, sing. So I stand with arms high and heart abandoned, in awe of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. And I stand with arms high and heart abandoned, in awe of the one who gave it all. I'll stand with my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. Just the voices, come on. So I stand with arms high and heart abandoned, in awe of the one who gave it all. I stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours.
We'll see you next week.